Let's pass these around. This is Kuf Kaf Hey. The Shir today, the Shir, the Siyam, the Chovot, the Shmira on our Olah Chayalim, and for the release of all the Chatufim, Bezrat Hashem. And the whole month of Cheshvan is sponsored by Moshe Niva Kesselman, B'schus all the Chayalim protecting Am Yisrael. This week is sponsored by Yechiel Levinson, Nilun Nishmas, Moshe Mordechai Ben Zalman Ben Yamin on his first yahrzeit, and by Carol Stone Applebaum, honor of Bani Eli's 35th wedding anniversary, and by Nitza and David Jerome in honor of Nachal Libi's first birthday. You should hear good news. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Okay, so we have a few minutes, Chavra, because we're starting very late. Let's just get focused as much as we can. So I manage to have to stop at soon. This page is here for whoever needs. Page Kuf Chaf Hey.
Coma. I suppose you've already spoken about Coma.
Yeah. Okay. Let's get focused, Chevra. I want to speak today. I want us to learn today, go deeper in a sugya that we need to get deeper in. And that is the whole sugya of Shimon and Levi. Because whenever anyone counters the subject of Nekama, of revenge, everyone always runs to the parsha of Shimon and Levi. And we began to kind of unfold it last time we learned, and we're going to continue to unfold it today. And what we're going to be seeing today is really two things. It's twofold. It's stressing a certain point we have to keep on stressing, and that is the danger of Nekama. And it's also the danger of ignoring it. It's twofold. And we have to understand al pi chazal, not our regesh, not our emotions, al pi chazal, what these two sides look like. We began last week seeing that Shimon and Levi's response to Yaakov Avinu, when he said, how could you do this? Now they're all going to come after me, whoever's left here, and I'm here all alone. Shimon and Levi respond, Achazonai yaset achotenu. End of Parsha. Gamarnu. Weiter. Next. Continues. But then we have another reference of Shimon and Levi, of course, by the brachas of Yaakov Avinu, where everyone is so quick to say that he cursed them. He cursed them. What did he curse? What did Yaakov Avinu curse exactly? What part of Shimon, did he curse them? Or did he curse a specific thing about them? And that's a very, very important diuk, a very important... I'm getting all these requests from Chevra that are learning with us to stop sounding so yeshivish. I don't know if I never... like I don't know. There's a lot of precious Chevra that want to understand every word. I'm going to try to be a bit more conscious of saying, that's why even like the word diuk, we have to go into a more specific, detailed. Look how the second paragraph on Kuf Chaf Hey starts. Zot hayta kavanato shel Yaakov be'amro ki be'apam argu ish. When Yaakov does curse them, he says, or curse them, speaks about them at the end of Vayichi. Yaakov Avinu says about Shimon and Levi, ki be'apam hargu ish. What does that mean? Shepirshu Chazal, ze chamor avishchem. That with their anger they killed. Who is that referring to? Chamor, the father of Shechem. Uma she'amar achar kach ubirtzonam akru shor, and with their will they also uprooted a shor. What's a shor? An ox. Kavanato li Yosef. Klomar. She'retzonam haya la'akor et Yosef shenikra shor. Kmo she'amru Chazal ubirtzonam akru shor. Ze Yosef. Dichtiv be. Bechor shoro hadar lo. That, remember we said, what did we know about Shimon and Levi? That it was some kind of component of their character? Kas. How do we know that later on in the Torah? Where do we see that as well? Before that, we learned on Monday, we see that also by Yosef HaTzadik, the Chazal show us it was them that really wanted to get things done with their brother Yosef. That's what we learned on Monday. That it was still a midah that was by them and it wasn't mevurar. Akru shor. That's what the pasuk says. Ki ba'apam argu ish ubirtzonam akru shor. That they wanted to uproot the shor. Yosef HaTzadik. וכן בלקח טוב, עקרו שור זה יוסף, שנאמר, ויאמרו איש אל אחיו, הנה בעל החלומות על זה בא, אלו שמעון ולוי שנקראים אחים. Right? We saw this last week? We touched upon it last week. Okay. Now, skip to the next paragraph. משום כך, לא קילל יעקב חס ושלום את שמעון ואת לוי, אלא הוא קילל את אפם, את כעסם. Rav Kahana is saying he didn't curse Shimon and Levi, he cursed their anger. And again, this is also for us an almost impossible task at hand to understand how to balance these midos, where we have a clear understanding that Nekama v'Nekama gdola v'Nekama kmo shelo haya af pa'am, a revenge that was never before, must be part of our tguva and us waking up. However, the apam, how do you do this, that it shouldn't be about anger, that it should really, 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 really be about Hashem, that's our avoda. That's been this whole parsha, that it's really about Hashem. Are there any extra pages? Anyone else need? There's extra pages here. Et ka'asam, it was their anger. Shaya meniya hara shevi otam lechamas. So funny. ולכן נאמר, ארור אפם כי אז ודרשו חז"ל לא קילל אלא אפם. The Midrash says he cursed their anger. וכן ארור אפס כי אז תתבצר אפס ותתמעט ועברתם תקטן. כלומר, הקנאות והנקמנות דברים גדולים הם. Revenge, vengeance are big things. These are very big midot. אבל זאת אך ורק אם הן נעשות לשם שמיים. Now this is going to take us to a whole other parsha that's going to make everyone here feel uncomfortable for a few seconds, which is what we love doing here anyway, and then coming back to it. If we nokem l'shem nekama without any understanding or kivun of why there should be such a thing, and in the context of Malchut, and without the context of Malchut Hashem, that Nekama is, there's nothing holy about it. There's nothing holy about it. Zatomeret, what am I trying to say? And I already know what we're learning next, because it's mamash on the same line, but through Pnimius, through Kabbalah, through Chassidus. If we are nokem in order to continue to hold on to the same klipa that we've holding on before, then that's absolutely asur. Do you understand that?
But how do you mekadesh Nekama? And mekadesh Shabbat.
That's what we're here for. That's the purpose of this year. It's a very good question. That's exactly what we're here for. How do you sanctify this concept? How do I know that what I'm doing is mamish kodesh? How do I know that? That's why he could have listened. He could have easily just done Pinchas and Shimshon and say, you see, it's always good. It's all good. Akol tov. We have to learn this sugya inside out to understand exactly how it should be implemented in a holy way, and the danger if it doesn't. What am I trying to say over here, Chevron? It's so clear. What was the 75 years, the first 75 years, what was? And Rav Ginsburg has a long ma'amar, which is what I want to be doing with the Chevra. It's a klipa kadma lapri. A klipa kadma lapri. It's a shell that precedes the actual fruit that's inside. A whole door has been convinced we got to the fruit when we realize it's just when we've been scratching the surface off of a klipa. That's the way to get to the fruit. A klipa is a shell. So if our concept of revenge is so that we could be even stronger in the realm of how we were stronger before. It's got to be with pnimius. It's got to be with machshava. It's got to be with a much clearer picture of where it's coming from and where it's going. And the danger of that not being part of the way that we implement all this Torah that we're learning is that it'll just be b'fchinas Shimon and Levi's way of revenging, which was cursed by Yaakov Avinu. And that's very, very important as we're learning the pnimius of Hilchos Nekama. That's why the there've been certain instances where over the years that some very, 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 how do you say this, very legitimate kas that's been bubbling up by certain people that have done single acts of revenge. Don't throw anything at me. Those aren't holy. The single acts those are not inyanim. That's not what we're talking about over here. I'm not going too much into detail. Certain ones that have bigger.
How can we know their intention? It's only if we know their intention.
It doesn't matter what their intention is. It brings a bigger chil Hashem than a kiddush Hashem because it's not done for the right intent.
The type of Nekama we're speaking about now is Am. That's what I want to stay focused on. In Am. Like last night, I'll share with you, a very, very special person texted me and said to me, he heard that we're starting to learn this Torah here now, and he understands now that, this is one of the definitions we have to reclaim and understand, because even he himself realized, we always say you have to act like Hashem, ma'atarachum afhurachum, right? Like the midos of Hashem, you have to live with the attributes of God with you inside. But what are one of the attributes of Hashem that is also later on in the beginning of the Rachamim? Kel kano, v'nokem, and we learn this. So he says, I understand that. I understand we need to be learned. But I just want to make sure you know that there was also an Arab that saved some Jews at the
festival.
At the festival. So,
What's the stira?
Exactly. That our question, our reply is, what's the contradiction? What's the stira between it? I don't understand. That's like saying there was a human. What's the chiddush? Like, there was a human being that acted like a human being.
Exactly.
Oh my God! I'm so happy that a person that looks like a human being acted like a human being. We're still stuck so deeply in the need to make sure that we're not fully labeling anyone. Yesh oyev, there's a very clear enemy. It's bigger than we want to admit. And we have to relearn terminology that's been hijacked. But while we're learning this, the davening now over that our learning should be bamash mitkasher to Eitz HaChaim has never been more important. It's never been more important. Not because I'm scared that anyone's going to do it. I'm not scared bichlal that anyone's going to go. We have our tzaddikim in the front lines. It's not about this fear chalila that anyone's going to get up and do anything. I know who we're talking to. I know who's here. I know what's going on. I'm much, much, much more terrified of the other way, of continuing to be with what we call Rosh Bakir. Rosh Bakir, what's the best way of saying that in English? Not literally.
Your head buried in the sand.
Thank you. Rosh Tamun Bachol. Head buried in the sand. That's why he's medayek here. We're in the third paragraph in the middle. Coma, Kanaut v'nakmanu dvarim gedolim hem. This is a big, big thing. אבל זאת אך ורק אם הם נעשות לשם שמיים, כמו בפנחס ובאליהו וכדומה. Like we see, if it's done completely לשם שמיים, like Pinchas, וזה אליהו הנביא. אולם אם המניע והשורש של הקנאות ושל הנקמה הם רעים, ובאים מתוך כעס וחמאס, יש לגנותם. It's amazing. You'd think that a left-wing Rav just wrote this sentence. He says, but if the menia, if the motive and the root of it is coming from a bad place, and it's only from anger, yesh laganotam. That means it must be completely condemned.
That's why they do speak about the anger of the chaylim. They talk about the core ruach.
Right, and our enemies are doing exactly the opposite. עצם הדחיפה לקנאות ונקמה יש בה דבר גדול, אלא שצריך לרחך אותן ולמעטן, כדי שיהיו תמיד לשם שמיים. He's saying this need, this want for nekama, of course, it's a very big thing, but you must soften it. That coming from that place, and to minimize it, the anger aspect of it, so that you make sure that where you're operating from is actually L'Shem Shamayim. And we have to also understand when not to use it. Sorry if I'm insulting anybody in the room right now, but we're trying to bring this down to a level that we could we're what's called mamash, not shikul dat, but what's called mamash, like being aligned, nefesh, ruach, and neshama, to learn this in a manner that can actually be everlasting, that can be done in a way that's actually mishaneh, that actually changes the ballgame. So you think this is a stira to everything that we learned before, and we're learning how Pinchas did it. We're learning Eli and Levi did it. We're learning how Shimshon did it, and we're learning also how Shimon and Levi did it.
How could they have done it differently?
Who?
Shimon and Levi.
Pinchas.
If I was watching them from afar, would I see them doing it any differently? Like they're, or no, like you're getting into their like
Into their souls.
You're getting into their soul. Like, nah, I know you didn't really do this totally legit. You had some cost in you. Like, is that what we're talking about?
I can't be the judge. I can't know what I would feel if I looked at them. I don't know. I have to ask myself this question.
But we only know
I don't
based
know.
on the fact that how Yaakov responded.
Right. Everything we're saying is only based on how their father, Yaakov Avinu, responded to it.
So if we would have seen it, it would have been...
It could be would have looked like the holiest thing in the world. I don't know. I don't know. And also, you should know something. Bisha'at kas, right? You know what? We have to look at one more thing about Shimon and Levi to understand what Yaakov Avinu was really saying about them. He didn't just curse their anger, and the way that they got punished is very, very interesting. It's almost like a wink. It's like, here, you got to get reprimanded because in Olam Hazeh levels, the way that he acted, it seems like it's wrong. Aval chakushnia. What actually happened with Shimon and Levi? Now remember, what was on the degel of Shevet Shimon? So it's almost like, look, in this world, I gotta go like that to you. I gotta give you a zetz. However, rega shnia achat. There's some things going on with your tribes, because obviously, who ended up Levi? Levi, Shimon and Levi. Yesh po mashu, much bigger than meets the eye. So let's keep on learning it inside. Al ken amar Yaakov. Therefore, Yaakov says, what does he say about Shimon and Levi? Achal ken be Yaakov va'afitzem be Yisrael. I'm going to split them up and disperse them amongst Am Yisrael. Mitzad echad hifridam. So on the one hand, he separated the two of them from each other. Hifridam ze mizeh. He's like, Shimon and Levi, you can't be chavrusas. I see where it's leading. Like, you guys should not live together. You know?
But maybe the world would have been a different place if they did.
ומצד שני, לא נתן להם מקום קבוע. But on the other hand, he told them, listen, you can't live together, but I'm not giving you permanent dwelling either. What does that mean? כדי שלא תהיה להם נחלה קבועה. You're not going to have a permanent nachala anywhere either. ויהיו זקוקים לחסדי הזולת וירגישו ייסורים. They're always going to be in need of people to help them to get their acts together in a certain way. שכל אלה ממעטים את הגאוותנות ואת האנוכיות שהן שורש הכעס. The need to be dependent on someone else, what does it do to a person? It's striking at a certain midah. It humbles the person, which he says, the gaiva is the shoresh of kas, is the root of anger. This is Yaakov's mechaven, when he's saying what he's saying to them, he's directing them to their tchonot hanefesh, to their soul, to what they're made of. כך אמרו חז"ל, כל מי שמסבב על הפתחים משבטו של שמעון. אף, אמר הקדוש ברוך הוא, אף לוי יהיה מסובב. The Medrash says, anyone that's kind of like מסבב על הפתחים, that means it's going from tent to tent, and, he's saying, hi, what are you guys having for dinner? What he's really saying is, can I join for dinner? There was like a need from Shevet Shimon, because Hashem took away from them. But to really focus on this midah of the gaiva. Levi too, it says, Af Levi yemesovev. And Levi, of course, we understand that al pi pshat in terms of chaser nachla. V'chen, achal kem beYaakov ze shivto shel Levi, v'afitzem beYisrael ze shivto shel Shimon. When it says, I'll divide them up in Yaakov, that's the tribe of Levi, and I will disperse them amongst Israel, that's the tribe of Shimon. Hada amra ruban shel aniyim mishevet Shimon hayu. And then there was a crazy thing that was said, that most of the poorer chevra in Am Yisrael was known to be from Shevet Shimon. Again, targeting this inyan of their need to lower the place of where their kas actually came from. Now let's go for a second to Pinchas. Was there an ounce of kas by Pinchas when he did what he did?
There was outrage on the Chil Hashem.
Right. It was outrage on the Chilul Hashem. It was outrage on the Chilul Hashem.
It wasn't Katz.
Bidiyuk. This is the diuk that we have to have. Now, we're gonna go right into it because we have very little time, and this is really what it's all about. You have to keep on looking at footage. And the way that you look at footage is while you're looking at Hashem. Not you. You need to do what you're doing down there. You're already doing it. I see the world is on the world's on 2.0. The world's on 2.0 speed. The world's on 2.0 speed. Our brothers and sisters that were slaughtered, butchered, raped, dismembered, it's old news already. That's the greatest Chilul Hashem that we could allow to happen. That's a Chilul Hashem. Do you know that there are about 135 bodies that are they're not missing, they're not identifiable. And I'm saying this b'mchuban right now as we just learned the sugya of trying to differentiate between Ka'as that would lead to Shimon and Levi, which could totally be understandable, to seeing here Hashem Yisbarach, how could this not be about Ka'as? Right? How can you please HaKadosh Baruch Hu, I don't want to forget for 1 second what happened. I want to actually process what happened. I want to understand what happened. Like when I say that there's like 130 bodies that are unidentifiable and it's a month later, what does that do to me? What does that do to me? Those are all shtickle elokuts that are unidentifiable. They're pieces of you, Hashem, that are unidentifiable. We're always learning Tanya. We're always learning the Alter Rebbe. What's the whole thing of each neshama? What's the whole thing? What's the shoresh of each person? It's a piece of you. Pieces of you are unidentifiable.
Zaka is still there cleaning up.
Every day I'm seeing footage from there. There's still there. This is very important for us. You see, I said it now, and it's like, and part of you is saying, I'm doing better today. Don't bring me back there. That's Amalek. That's Amalek. That's like saying that by December of 1945, the Jews should have been already like, yalla, titkadmu.
What if it's already playing over in our heads over and over again? Why do we need to see the actual image? Like, what if it's there already in our heads? It's creeping into our heads all day long.
I don't think it's saying to watch the videos.
That's not what I meant. I meant watch the footage that you've already watched. Like go into it that you've already seen. There's plenty. It's good you're clarifying. It's there already. But because my mind is so programmed to be on the speed of the rest of the world, there is a great danger that I, in the name of mental health or all the other things, have already, kilu itkadamti. Now it's about what's the new light that's emerging, v'chule. The new light can only emerge if darkness is put in its place. And we're not there yet. At all. This is amazing. I have an old buddy, I'm sure many of you know him. He's really, really talented guy. And I know him for many years. And he's a musician and he's a comedian too. And he debated Candace Owens yesterday. Did any of you see this?
Yeah.
Ami Kozak.
Yeah.
Ami's an old friend. And one of the things that he said there so incredibly, and the craziness is that there's even like debates like this today. Is already just shows you it's Purim all year long, but it's the first few prakim of Megillas Esther. We're not there yet. Perek Vav Zayin. We're not later in the story. So one of the things he was saying over there is that trying to explain why there was an outrage about Charlie Kirk. You don't have to look too much in these sugyas, but Charlie Kirk, someone that Hashem decided he should have a big hashpa in the world today. And there was an anger about him about the certain comments that he made right like a few days after the Tevach, speaking about the need for an investigation. And people were, Mamash, Yidden were very angry at him. So she's saying, why are you so angry at him? He's so he's always speaking pro-Israel. And Ami made a very important diuk that really, I was thinking about when we were learning this right now. Because he said, Candace, we're still at the cemetery. We're still finding body. He didn't say this, but now I'm just taking what he says. We're still ki'ilu finding body parts. We're still identifying body parts. And if the voice of the world is already speaking about the day after, that means there's zero internalization of actually the day of. The day of. And I've shared this with you so many times, but it's important for me to share. One of the klipas that I feel of the 75 years has been the way that we've responded after we've gotten shechted. In what manner? In a face of ki'ilu that it's gevura. Like what? I saw this with my own eyes because I would go to the sites of suicide bombings, bus bombings. I would be there a few hours later. I'd go there from the age of 14. And I always tell you, what were we proud to show? That a few hours later, the blood is already, it's all cleared, and we're showing business back to usual. It is such a klipa, it's not to be believed. Because it shut off something in our ma'arechet pnim. It shut off something in our being. It shut something off completely. We haven't, we're still learning how to use all the different midot of Hashem in us. The midah of kana'ut is one of God's midot. You have to keep on remembering that. You have to keep on saying that. The midah of zealousy, of a vengeance, this is a midah of Hashem. And now we have no choice, but we have to learn how to integrate that into our being. Chayavim. And this is like, it's such a long sugiyah, and that's why we're spending so much time on it, because it seems to me that as an am and as a dor, this is a very, very, very big blemish. That people with the greatest of intentions feel the need to send me, to make sure that I know that there was an Arab that saved Jews at the festival, proves to me even more how much this midah is still hijacked and kidnapped. And needs to be continued to be learned out and refined. So much deeper. Yeah.
Just think about what Yessi's saying. You see that we're conquering Gaza and bombing it, and there's a joy. There's we're doing what we need to do. How do we clarify? I know we have sometimes these Hasidic rabbis that could tell you, if you feel this after the decision, yalla, that's good. If you feel this, then probably it's from the Yetzer Hara. Even if it's a small decision, so in something like this, how do we clarify for ourselves that we're doing it in the right direction?
So since we're not speaking individually right now, we're speaking about Am-wise, do we feel that Am Yisrael, Kichlal, in Eretz Yisrael, is acting mitoch a place of having Hashem in our consciousness when we act the way we act? I'm not talking about the individual in the army. I have no idea.
No,
I'm talking about the Am. I'm talking about the klal.
So many people seem positive to help, to support the army, to go and do whatever it is that needs to be done. But
that's not Nekama. That's humanity. That's being humanitarian. That's not that. See, you see, this is a perfect example. This is amazing what you're bringing up. That is not Nekama. That's exactly the example. What the army is doing now is not Nekama at all, whatsoever. It is the holiest group of people that are going in the name of tzedek, of justice, of mishpat. B'miniyah, if it was Nekama, I'm not saying it would be right or wrong, Gaza would have been Dresden the day after Simchas Torah. We're not acting out of there, as the army's not. We're talking about Rosh B'nai Yisrael Be'eretz Yisrael on a political level, meaning the people, the decision makers, is the consciousness of Hashem, Malchut Hashem, the reason why we're even in Eretz Yisrael, the reason why we're building this country, the reason why we're fighting for this country, is that coming from God consciousness. Or not. These are very important things that we have to start discussing out in the open, because I looked at the children on the street this week. I looked at like 3 kids playing ball, coming back from playing ball, 12 years old, pure, simply these, so happy to see them getting some time together. And I'm thinking, what am I going to do? And I can bring it more to my son. I think my girls are older, but for me, and I'm saying this in the presence of people that have chayalim in the army right now, but if I could know that my Nachman's almost 3, he's turning 3 soon. If I know that Nachman has 15 years of his Abba doing whatever he can, alavai, 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 that I should do, I'm speaking about one person, that I should do whatever I can to infuse my my people, with Ahavat Hashem like no other. And through the Ahavat Hashem, through the love of God and the love of the Torah, I have a healthy relationship with Midot of a God, which one of them is Kel Nekamot Hashem. That's the only way I could live with myself and justify my choosing to live here. Because otherwise, to dance around this illusion of 75 years, it's sakanat nefashot. Sakanat nefashot. It's heavy stuff. This is what we're here for. Why did we call this series "Waking Up from the Coma"? Because it sounds,
Sam Harris?
Oh, he has this. I don't know.
No.
He doesn't have the same.
His talk is called Waking Up.
Because, Chavra, anyone that's looking inside sees, listen, there's 2 ways to live. One is I can live in Mea Sharm. I could. המדינה לא קיימת, אני לא בצבא, זה לא משנה. This is all crazy. But I'm not part of Am Yisrael like that. But Pnimiyut, I want to be part of Am Yisrael. I want to be part of the soul of Am Yisrael. And that's everyone in the Am. I have no other desire than to feel like I'm inside Am Yisrael. And that's a big toll. I don't think any of us understood what it meant to make Aliyah. I don't think any of us understood what that really means. And now we're seeing it. En lanu brera acheret. We don't have any other choice. Us being here, us being part of the Israeli society and the Israeli culture, it's happening already. The awakening is happening already. It's already there. You have tons of families. These are the families of... You have to understand those kibbutzim and moshavim where Yidden were shechted were the greatest peace activists that exist. Shalom Achshav stickers are all over their home. And I know what you sent me, but I also know tons of other things of interviews with people that are saying, Ad achron ha'plishtim sheyesh sham ani lo chozeret habayta. Until the last of them are gone, I'm not going back home. And even small changes and shifts of consciousness, like in the Mishaberach that we did. You want to explain what the change that we made in the Mishaberach is?
So it was written by Rav Goren during the...
I think his Yortzeit is today.
Wow.
Yeah.
Milchemet Lebanon, right?
Yeah. It's either Yom Kippur, I'm not sure.
It was one of the previous wars where we were fighting outside the Gvulot of Eretz Yisrael. And so he wrote this beautiful Mishaberach, which we say after davening or during laning, or right after laning, on Monday and Thursday and Shabbos. And it says that we're trying to bring everybody, all those who are kidnapped and all those who are in battle, back home. And what Rav Goren wrote previously, back to their land, La'artzam. But we're not saying Artzam. We made a decision as a Kehila here not to say Artzam, just Beitam. Because everybody in Aza is at home already. It's within Gvulot of Eretz Yisrael.
You see these small shifts, just these small awakenings. We're not even aware how much it's infiltrated into our system, which is again the reason why I do not allow the word P-A-L-E-S-T. I don't allow that in the shul because that word is not a word, and it's consumed our minds and our souls. And I start to see now everything. I see different rebbeim that are writing most amazing things, but they put that word in there. And now I comment to myself, like, listen, this is amazing. Let's get even more meduyak. And I see there's slowly mashu nofel. I see the next article. That word is removed. And what word is replaced? Arabs. It's not kilo zelo. When you stop for a second and realize, like, these small shifts of consciousness have a much larger impact on the way that we think, more than we realize. It's small stuff.
That's a big one.
But nachon.
That's a fundamental.
I think, but even that, what we just said in the Mishaberach, meaning even changing that and realizing, wait a second, they're kidnapped in their home.
You said it a few days ago. It's not to work, and it's hard. I've been trying to do it. Instead of saying Israel, you say Eretz Yisrael.
Yeah. Oh, that's a big one.
That's a big one. But that's a
big one too.
The continuation of
that's a big one. Instead of saying Israel is Israel, Eretz Yisrael. Israel's the UN. Israel's 1947 guilt. Right. Israel. No, it's not Israel. Eretz Yisrael. Eretz Yisrael. Eretz Hashayin, right? Eretz Hashayin Hashem Elokecha ba, right? Yeah, Brandon. A little bit louder, so everyone can hear.
We have this. You're saying this Amalek voice that tells us to not look. Not only is it hard to go back and even play those things mentally, but I imagine many of us were raised on with people who did not speak about the Shoah. So it's almost like in this like mental DNA.
Yeah.
How do we do that? How do we invent these things? Because as you were saying that, my first thought was like, all right, well, for me, like mental health wise, like I get too stuck in it.
Without
then you said
the darkness.
Don't use the excuse of hell.
Without letting the evil root itself.
Right. Yeah.
I think that's a really important point of that.
That's the avodah of today, 100%. How each person works differently. The only way I've been able to do it is that I keep the dialogue about my feelings with Hashem the whole time wide open, and it's not an internal conversation that's buzzing in my mind. That it's always about Ribono Shel Olam. You see, this is part of avodat Hashem. Just like I hopefully open up a Gemara and I try to, like Eli just showed us right now, trying to understand a bit deeper of what's going on here, even if it's heavy stuff. I'm talking to Hashem the whole time while I'm experiencing it. And I think that's what's very, very crucial about this kind of learning, that it has to be completely escorted with Pnimius way of thinking and of living and of learning. You know, he was a Litvak. He was a Litvak. He wasn't a Chassid at all. We have to, this is like our job, and it's not about him. Be'emet, it's not about him. Like, I'm very big. It's not about him. It's not about any individual. And it's about Klal Yisrael today, of where we're at today. There was 75 years of a think tank that not only didn't work, it created a bilbul atzum betoch nishmat Yisrael. And it seems that those that want to remain part of Nishmas Klal Yisrael in the inside have to have enough guts to look at the klipa and remember there's a pre inside. Remember there's a fruit within that shell, beneath those layers, beneath those peels. And again, like, I think that's important. The way that I relate to it is that, listen, I had a chayal text me last night something, Hashem Yirachem. He said, I need you to daven for my soul now more than ever. Why? He's like, listen. He said to me, I can't. He was there on Simchas Torah. He said, in order to identify who was dead, I had to very fast do things that I didn't even think of. He didn't do anything wrong, but he realized how much to be a soldier in this war against the face of the abyss of evil of today, you have to go and do things. He didn't even realize what it did to his soul. daven for me, because if I start screaming when I'm done with this, I know I may cause earthquakes in the world with the screams, because God's going to hear what is bubbling up in me. But at least he's thinking about Hashem. At least he's able to still have that in the context of the Ribbono Shel Olam, right? When it's just about this national pride, it gets stuck at a klipa. It gets stuck somewhere. It gets stuck. And you do sivuvim. You just keep on turning round and round and round and round. So this is why, again, to adjust this midah of kana'ut, of nekama, is so important. On the one hand, to remember, if it's just about kas, it's cursed. If it's about mamash kiddush Shem Hashem barabim, Pinchas gets 2 brises, Brit Shalom and Bris Kehunas Olam. That's what we're here. That's what we're in it for. But there must be an element of nekama in order for there to be a shalom, and we still don't get that. In order for there to be a Brit Shalom, there needs to be an element of kana'ut, of zealousness. I didn't decide that. The Torah says so. Pshat, not parshanim. Lachen hineni noten lo et briti shalom. Pshat of the psukim. Pshat. Simple. Now, when this element of kana'ut, of nekama, is in its proper place, it's not just that the enemies get what they deserve. The Am starts to shine in a way that we've never seen before. The people start to live and act and receive things that we can't even imagine. And that's, I have to stop right now because there's someone waiting for me in the office, but that's exactly what we hope to get to. That it's not only about them. It's not only about now. It's a much, much, much bigger picture. This is just one element of many different elements that we're hopefully going to be reintroducing ourselves to as we realize it's a new Am, it's a new Zman, it's a new shift, and every learning like this has to be escorted with tremendous, tremendous, tremendous tefillas. Like wherever we were spiritually holding before, you have to look at it as a joke. That's why, like Mamash, you sent a picture of Hoshana Rabbah. Not only do I not have a recollection of it, I don't have a recollection of any kavana either. Nothing. And nothing. Someone said, Yakir came to, I saw Yakir yesterday. He was off for, right? Yakir is off for like a day, 2 days. So Yakir was telling me, Yakir Hyman was telling me about, Simchas, he was here at Simchas Torah night with his kids. He said it was like the best Simchas Torah. I'm like, I said, in my mind, I was like, where were you? Mm-hmm. I danced with him and his kids. He said, I want to know where he was. It doesn't mean that it didn't exist. It just means that Benogad today, every day is Yom HaTzma'ut with the deepest cheshbon nefesh that we ever had. Every day since then is Yom HaTzma'ut with Yom Kippur and Tisha B'Av put together. Mamash. This is it. Now is the time. And this midah needs to be in its right place so that Bezrat Hashem, the soldiers right now, can finish the job and come home peacefully with utmost shmira elyona. And so that my Nachman doesn't have to make a decision whether to serve or not, because his avoda of being a kohen in the Beis Hamikdash is going to be something very real. Something very, very real. Yeshua Koach, everyone.